Hi, this is Skylar Pond, sports medicine chiropractor at Excellence Chiropractic. I'm walking you through an injury process that I'm going through. I have a bilateral strain of my brachioradialis that's keeping me from able to straighten out my arms right now. You may have watched the previous video where I was controlling inflammation using vasopneumatic compression. And now I'm moving on to the second phase. It's been 4 days since my injury, and now I'm going to get into soft tissue work, trying to mobilize the tissues, release the scar tissue, get it back to normal range of motion. So what I'm going to teach you today is bootleg ART. ART is a great technique. It requires a practitioner. If you're on your own, this is how you can get it done. The concept is simple. You want to take the tissue from a shortened position, apply pressure, not necessarily directly into the injury site, and then stretch it through that range of motion. I've been experimenting a little bit with some new concepts to how to get that done for myself, and what I came up with is a bit of a modification of what you use for a golfer's elbow or tennis elbow. You may have seen those straps before where it has a gel pad that makes a contact point distal to the injury site. So when you stretch the muscle, when you use the muscle, you're not pulling directly on the source of the injury. It changes the contact point and the stress point. So this can be applied to anything, any part of your body. Feel free to use your creativity. I just want you to learn the concept today and see an example that I'm using that you can apply on your own. So what I'm using today, you can see my right arm, so what I'm focusing on is a band. You can use therapy tape. You can use a bicycle tire inner tube that you cut the stem out of and clean out that gel if it's a instant flat fixer. That can be a hassle. Or you can use one of these voodoo floss bands that you see on Rogue. So what I've done here is I've identified my origins and insertions of the injured tissue. It goes from here to here. So I'm right in between the two. What I did was I took about 5 feet of this therapy tape. I rolled it up into a roll, and I taped it down. I placed it transverse to the tissue line of this muscle that I'm interested in, and then I applied one of these stretchy bands with a good deal of force into that band while I was in a shortened position. Okay, good deal of force. You're going to have to take on a case-by-case basis. You shouldn't be losing feeling in your fingers. This shouldn't be a tourniquet, but you want there to be some good pressure there. You shouldn't be able to tolerate more than a couple minutes. So now what you do is very simple. All I have to do is work through a range of motion, and what I'm accomplishing here is an active pin and stretch technique across the muscle belly that I'm interested in. Okay, it's really hard for me to get to this range of motion against the band, really hard for me to extend through here. This is the most basic form that you could use. From here you could use all kinds of creative applications. As you progress through the injury, if you're not hurting as badly, then you can start using this as you do functional movements. You can do bear crawl, crab walk, kettlebelling, pull-ups toward the end phase. You want to save those more challenging weight-bearing movements for the end. This is my first day with it, and I do not want to go back into an inflammatory cycle, so I'm not being aggressive at all. I'm trying to knock out that inflammation while I'm trying to release this tissue and decrease the spasm. All right, well, this is the kind of technique that you use for probably day 5 through 10, and then you want to get back into more aggressive rehabilitation, strengthening, making sure that you're not vulnerable to this in the future, working with your form, that sort of thing. But experiment with it. You don't have to use it in your elbow. This works in any tissue that you can address on your extremities. Hope that's been helpful. This is Skylar Pond with Excellence Chiropractic.